Alright, hopefully that music starts up in a few seconds. There we go. Alright. I wanted to make a tier list video real quick. Because I just made this recently. I think this is the closest I've come to really like being sure about a tier list so far this season, and I wanted to explain some of it, and some of it should be obvious just by looking at it, but just a little like discussion on characters. I want to keep the explanations brief because I don't want the video to be too long, but it's probably going to be long anyway because there's a lot of characters to go over. But the first two I'm going to do very quickly. Top two. Reason for that: he's the best point, he's the best anchor. That's in my opinion. Base Vegeta has basically a 2-touch off everything, builds a lot of bar, does a lot of damage, which I guess those two are just how it is. His round start is really good. His support is actually very good. It's got a lot of hit stun. You convert off it easy, and the angle it goes at is almost as good as GT Beam. So he has really good AS's support, but it's not good enough that he would be a mid. And also, he gets a lot off assists. So as a point character, he does the job insanely well. And aside from that, we don't even got to talk about the neutral. He has really good neutral. The fucking IAD back key blast, that's a really powerful neutral tool. EX kick is a really good neutral tool. So that one's sort of self-explanatory. Z Broly, I think, can I just like move this thing a little bit down? Z Broly, I think, is the best anchor in the game because he can explode you off every... Limit Break solves his real big issue, is he can't punish you very well because he doesn't get a medium starter very easily. But Limit Break boosts his damage, so he doesn't need the medium starter. He still does a big chunk. And it gives him a free bar for the slow level 3. So that's very powerful. He'll explode you off almost anything in Limit Break. And aside from that, he has arguably the best neutral from those Key Blasts, the Lariat, the 236S move, the Barrier, and solo 50-50 using that light unreactable grab. So he's really, really good on anchor. His support is also pretty decent. It's got good neutral assist, eats Key Blast, beam property. It's a good assist. My camera's a little fucked up. Alright. Bluku. He's very good. To me, he seems sort of like a weird mix between both of these guys, and you could sort of feel it. It's a little bit... It's actually sort of obvious. He has a Lariat that goes through Key Blast, but it's fast like base Vegeta's. He has the unreactable command grab like Broly, but it's not armored. He has like staggers like Z Broly, but inferior neutral to this character. Basically, he's just very good, dude. He has insanely good stagger game. He does high damage. He feels like an inferior base Vegeta a little bit of Z Broly, if that makes any sense. So he's a really good character. I think really his biggest problem is just support because his assists aren't super duper OD, but he's a good character. He does high damage. He has outstanding staggers. His neutral is pretty decent from the EX shoulder, and he has basically a Magneto JS, and yeah, that's how I feel about Bluku. Bardock, we don't even have to explain. He has the Lariat, he has the Stagger, he has the 5LL, he has Bardock B. That's pretty self-explanatory. Kid Buu can get Schmicks off anything and enable Schmicks for other characters. Kid Buu has really, really good support on all three of his assists. He has a really good C assist, he has a really good B assist, he has a really good A assist. So he is, in my opinion, an ideal point mid character, and he could also make pretty decent comebacks because in Limit his punish potential is increased. He already does pretty decent damage. His level 3 Oki is decent. He has ways to stagger solo that even though he doesn't have a lot of pushback, he can stay in your face and just keep pressuring you. He doesn't have a 50-50 solo, but he's not supposed to be solo. I think he's a really good mid character or a really good point character because of just how well he uses and enables stuff. UI. He has arguably a better 5LL than Bardock, and that's very, very hard to do. he has a really good auto combo. And aside from that, his neutral is really good. His damage is really high. He builds some bar. He has 2 DPs. One of them tracks. That's a really fucking strong DP. I think it's arguably the best DP in the game. The counter super, right? Here's where I feel his weaknesses are that prevents him from being top 5. He has no real 50-50 aside from super dash plus assist unless it's something I don't know about. And his level 3 Oki takes a little bit of execution, which can actually make it harder for you to get that Oki in a real match. And I feel like that's a decent enough point. The last thing is his stagger game is, I feel, inferior to these 4 and maybe on par with him. Team Gohan, he's really good. He does high damage. He could stagger pretty decently. Great neutral, right? Here's where he fails. His support is basically just DPC assist, fake blocks, then assist. And I feel like that's sort of lacking when compared to these guys with their outstanding support. He can't combo into level 1 mid-screen unless you cut down the combo a little bit. He can't... his staggers don't really have pushback like these sort of... these sort of 2 right here, where he's sort of just in your face forever, and that's really potent. But I feel like these 2 have it just a little bit better because that pushback allows for really easy pressure resets, and I don't know. I feel like his staggers can be a little bit underwhelming at times, and the not comboing into level 1 is a little bit of an issue. But other than that, he's a really good character. He has solo plus frame. He has good neutral. Like, he's a really good character. Yamcha is OD. He has the EX Lariat. Here's how I feel about Yamcha. I feel like right now Yamcha is almost like a better Super Saiyan Vegeta because he has a very similar game plan. He has Ki Blast, Retreat, into Air DP, or into EX Lariat from full screen that he combos off of. It's sort of similar as to what made SSJ Vegeta strong in Season 1, but SSJ Vegeta's support is not as strong now, and Yamcha's is, especially now that he has a beam. So that's really good for him. And aside from that, he also has really good stagger game, and the Rekka is really good as a solo mix. So he's a really solid anchor or mid character. Majin Buu. This one's probably controversial because most people don't look at Buu very well. But here's what I think about Buu from a long time maining the character perspective. His weakness, what really keeps him down, and I was debating putting him in only A+, because of this weakness. He's a very greedy character. He needs a lot of meter, he needs a lot of assist help. And aside from that, his support doesn't really justify keeping him mid, which I think he's a good mid, but if he had better support, he would be more justified being there, and I think he would work better as a character. He has decent assists, but they're not really that great. So he sort of takes without giving back, if that makes any sense. But in return, the reason I kept him S is because Fat Throw is a very potent mix-up option. Ignoring SKD in this game, I feel, is very, very strong, especially in a metagame that doesn't have a strong snapback like we used to. And that was particularly powerful because of the fact that you couldn't delay tech, you couldn't reflect. Majin Buu has his own little way of getting that you can't delay tech this into a 50-50, which is really, really strong. The only problem is it costs bar, it costs assists. You need to have a lot of resources for that. What supplemented this, and this is the big one, is that in the corner you could use the Fat Toss Oki and call I think a beam is like the minimum, but you might be able to get it with even less. Cover all your tech options and get a 50-50 still, and it loses to reflect, but you could also bait reflect. So that supplement is what made me keep him S. And aside from that, he has great neutral. His Ki Blasts are very strong. I'm not sure if you know this, but his Ki Blasts are actually very fast. They beat Super Saiyan Goku and Blue Goku and Base Goku in Ki Blast Wars because they're really fast. And his Air Ki Blasts are very good for space control because they spread out like a shotgun, instead of how most Ki Blasts go down like this and just keep going, his will spread out like this, and you'll cover more area with it. So, in the same way that Super Saiyan Vegeta would air DP a Super Dash, you can EX Cartwheel it and get a combo, and that's a medium starter that could potentially be a lot of damage, and because they spread out more, there's a more likely chance you'll be able to actually get it's not an air DP if you start in the air for some reason, but you'll actually be able to get the punish because you can cancel into it. So that's pretty powerful. His neutral is really powerful, and also his jumping heavies cover a lot of space. Stop Super Dash, you can convert off J2H. I think he's a very strong character. I'm not gonna say he's like super broken or anything, because I don't really think any character in this game is particularly broken except for maybe these two, but I think he's very strong. I think the real reason people aren't playing him is because he's very greedy to get him to his absolute best. But yeah. Give me a second, I gotta answer a text. Alright, so on to A+. This one has a lot more characters. I'm kind of gonna breeze through it, unlike like S and stuff. But GT Goku, 9-frame EX Lariat that he could combo off of for half a bar. Full screen EX Ball that is very hard to 2H because it doesn't actually count as an air move. It counts as a projectile. If you reflect him, he doesn't actually go anywhere. That's a very powerful neutral tool. GT Beam, his assist, I'm counting those as separate things. He has a good beam and he has a good assist. And Spirit Bomb for damage. Other than that, his staggers are decent. I'm going to say decent. And his mix-ups are strong. His power pole stuff is very strong still. So, not much new. He loses to double reflect kind of hard, but you can sort of do like Bardock and like reaction Lariat it and then get a combo. But he kind of loses to double reflect shit. He doesn't really have that. Cell, on the other hand, has plenty of double reflect shit. His normals are very big. He has really good staggers. He has a lot of things going for him. High damage. You TOD people off like everything. Decent support. I'm going to say decent, because I don't think his beam is that bad because of the angle he shoots it at. It's very hard to actually counter hit Cell when he does that because he starts behind you. He has great staggers. He has really good mix-up potential. I think his worst weakness is neutral, and that's why I have him under GT, but he's a really solid character. He's really good. He has 50-50s. He has basically the whole package except for neutral, which is like he's got a beam. He's got a decent JL. He's got decent normals. So that's your neutral. It's kind of limited. Base Goku, a very strong character. I think the biggest thing he has going for him is that he basically has old Super Saiyan Goku staggers in addition to a command grab. And he has better neutral because of the 2S. So he's arguably a better Super Saiyan Goku. He does like slightly less damage, I think, because Super Saiyan Goku had like the EX Fist combos. And but yeah, he's very powerful. Kaioken as a super with this limit break stuff does the same damage as a level 3, but it's level 2. I think that's very powerful. He saves bar. The Spirit Bomb, even level 1, is actually a very strong neutral tool because it tracks any combos off it, and it's a medium starter, so in limit, you are going to die. But yeah, he's very strong. Super Broly, you're also going to fucking die. He has, like, what, the second highest damage in the game. If he touches you, you just die. He has decent support. His B assist is, like, a combination of this assist and this assist. I think it's also invincible to Ki Blast, if I'm not wrong. High as fuck damage. He has great RPS on block. Where he falls short, I think, is that he really just doesn't have a true 50-50 unreactable mix-up. He's just very strong in neutral, does a lot of high damage, gets a lot of reward for not a lot of risk. So that's where I feel like he's powerful. He's not quite as obnoxious as Z Broly. That's the word. He's more fair. Trunks has really good neutral. He has really good support. I think all three of his assists are pretty good. The beam obviously being the best one. But his weakness is frame data. He can't really stagger that well. And that can make it hard for him to get hits, especially when... Can we, like, stop that ad? Especially when a lot of people are playing him anchor now. That makes it a little bit harder for him to get hits without Spark. So relying on Spark as an anchor can kind of bring you down. I don't particularly like that. But, alright, so, Janemba. I think Janemba's a really underrated character. I think Janemba's actually fucking insane. Because Janemba has strong stagger game. I'm not going to say, like, obscenely good neutral, but he has good neutral. He has, like, the tracking key blast. He has the slice in neutral. He has the projectile counter. He has very good, like, anti-meta tools, the same way Cooler 3H is powerful. He gets high damage on his optimals. He can gain a pretty decent bit of meter. He has sparking loops, which I think are sort of an essential component to a good character. And you don't have to agree on that. He has mix. He has a command grab, which it's 25 frames, but it's actually quite hard to react to because you really need to be looking for it, from my experience anyway. So I think Janemba is a very strong character. His support is also really good. A assist is just SSJ Vegeta, but it tracks. B assist is one of the better Lariat assists. It reflects Ki Blast. It's like a disjoint, I think. Decent bit of hit stun. C assist, 50 frames, block stun, really good assist. I actually really like his C assist. So Janemba's great. Vegito. His biggest thing he has is his block strings. That man will keep you blocking for like 30 seconds of the game, and you can't do anything about it. That's why even though Vegito has no mix, technically, no 50-50, people will still spark on Vegito for no reason, and guard cancel on Vegito for no reason. Because even though he can't mix you, he could just pressure you relentlessly, and people want to get out. That's actually a very good strength. If a Vegito player has the advantage and they're staggering you, they don't have to mix you. They're wasting your timer. They're making it harder for you to win the game. That's very powerful. His support is also pretty good, and his damage is really good off a hit if he finally gets the hit. So he's a strong character. I feel like his weaknesses are kind of like neutral because he doesn't, aside from like EX kick, he doesn't really have anything to get in very well, and he also doesn't have anything to keep away very well. It's sort of like Piccolo, where the neutral is very footsies and normal based, which is not necessarily a bad thing because he has good normals, but there's also characters like base Vegeta. So, good character, just a couple of weaknesses that make him not played. Android 21, she's really good. Her problem, and I'm going to say this till the end of time, she doesn't get knockdowns, and tech chase is weak in this game because of how many ways they can go and how long they can delay it. Not a lot of people do this, but you can probably get out of all her tech chases if you just don't tech. Of course, they could combo you after, but then what else are they going to do? You could just tech after they get like one hit. So, tech chase is kind of weak. With assist, she gets the knockdown, she gets Oki, she gets pressure, she gets damage, and it's really good. She has basically the best mid-screen rejump in the game because of how much damage she gets off it in corner carry. She has good meter gain, she has good damage, she has good support. Well, I'm going to say decent support. She has decent staggers, and I believe with the right assist she gets 50-50s as well. Her real weakness is that knockdown, that lack of pressure, because if you're left with her, it's very hard for her to make a comeback. She got decent neutral, she gets good damage, but she can't really open you up. And if she does open you up, it's very hard for her to keep it because of that tech chase mechanic. You need to like spend a bar for a Dragon Rush knockdown or something, and that sort of weakens the character. But other than that, she is very strong. Adult Gohan, he's very strong. The only reason I have him this low is because you need a level up for him to succeed. His neutral can be kind of lacking at times, even though I'm not going to say he has bad neutral. and his support doesn't really warrant him being a mid over, let's say, a character like Kid Buu with great support, Yamcha with great support, which you're probably going to run him anchor, Base Goku with great support, Trunks with great support, Bardock B with great support. So his support doesn't really warrant him to be mid enough for him to get that level up. And he's also a sort of underwhelming point because no level up. And as anchor, if you're left with him, he can't make the comeback because he can't get the level up. Which, you can't get the level up. You probably can, but you get what I'm saying. It makes his game plan a little bit harder. But he has very strong staggers. He has good damage. He has good pressure. He can still mix the shit out of you. Because even though you can guard, cancel, spark, whatever out of EX legs, he could also get stuff without EX legs. You can set up into like Kid Buu assist and get a 50-50 off that. You can set up into a whole number of things. He has a DP. He's really good in spark. Number of reasons you should play Adult Gohan, but there's also just the level up and the support thing that really weakens him in my opinion. Cooler's strong, but Cooler's problem is to get his safe jump, you need to end his combos early. His frame data, despite having decent staggers, his frame data can be underwhelming. He has no 50-50. Even in like Spark, I don't think he gets anything crazy. He does good damage. He has 3H, which kind of beats neutral. And he has plus frames, but he has no way to actually really consistently open you up like some characters. Trunks has EX Flip 50-50s. Cell has Kid Buu 50-50s. GT has Power Pull. Bluku. Bardock doesn't have anything. Base Vegeta. Command Grab. Etc. So he really can't open you up the same way, let's say, Yamcha with his better frame data and his Rekka can open you up. He can't open you up the same way as Trunks and Sparking can open you up. So he's a good character. And also, his assists are kind of underwhelming. He has good assists, but they're not as good as, again, Trunks, Yamcha, even Kid Buu, which Kid Buu's not that great of an anchor, but still. Base Goku. You get the picture. So he's good. I definitely think he's good. He's just not top tier. Android 18. I think she's really, really good. I think her biggest problem is sort of like 21. She can't really get knockdowns all that easy without spending assist. But she doesn't rely on like air tech chase. She has sort of ground tech stuff. Her big problem, in my opinion, actually, is that she sort of plays like a point character, but her round start doesn't sort of equate to that. She only has like 5M and barrier, which barrier is strong. But I don't know, it feels like she can't really be aggressive, and aggression is very much rewarded in this game. And her staggers are decent, but her frame data is sorta kinda ass-ish. I'm gonna say ass-ish, you know? But she has a lot of things going for her. She has unreactable command grab, 50-50 solo. She has decent damage. I think really, actually, let me say this again. Her biggest problem, ignore every other biggest problem I said. Her biggest problem is that she's greedy like Majin Buu. Maybe not for meter, but she needs assist to sort of function, if that makes sense. Kefla. Kefla's also very strong, but I feel like her big problem is neutral. And a lot of people disagree with me. They say Kefla has good neutral, but I don't see it. Her air key blasts don't angle in a good way to make them good for neutral. Her ground key blasts are good, but then that's all she has. She has the 236S move that's armored, but then what else does she have? She has dash in neutral that's punishable. She has full charge 236S that I could punish with a super. And what else? She basically only has key blast for neutral, and like Nokami said, she has no way to change her like air momentum trajectory like some of these characters. Like for example, Janemba has a teleport. Cell has the rolling crush. GT has the ball. Bardock has the lariat. Kid Buu has the ball. base Vegeta has the Lariat. There's characters that can change their air trajectory. Majin Buu has his cartwheel and dive bomb. He has the dive kick, right? Ways to change your air momentum that can sort of trick people out. She basically only has Super Dash and Ki Blast. That's her whole neutral. But everything else she has is very good. She has good frame data and staggers. She has good damage. She can potentially get good mix-up because she has 50-50s with assists. She has good level 3 Oki. She has the dash plus assist is also good, right? Like, she's a good character. She just suffers from like a couple little tiny bit of problems. She needs assists to play neutral. Super Saiyan Vegeta, I'm putting him very high, and I would not be putting him this high, but I realized something, and it's, despite the fact that he basically plays like a worse Yamcha this season, he does something different from Yamcha. His Ki Blasts are in the air, and the reason that's powerful is because not many characters can snipe that angle. Yamchas will lose to beams. Yamchas will lose to, potentially someone does EX Lariat as another Yamcha faster than him. Yamchas will lose to, Ki Blast Wars. Vegeta's will not, because Vegeta's come from the air. That's extremely powerful. The ability to just throw Ki Blasts and DP if they try and Super Dash without ever having to fear losing the Ki Blast War, except maybe to Z Broly, maybe to Frieza. That's very powerful. And his light DP is a medium starter, so if you have assist up, you can TOD off that. Right, so that's actually very powerful neutral. I feel like his biggest problem right now is his normals and the fact that his EX Lariat, unlike this one and this one, is unsafe. His EX Lariat is not minus 19 on block. That's minus 5. That's minus 5. Vegeto's is minus 3. That's spaces you all the way over here. So his is a little bit... His EX Lariat is not that great, and with them nerfing the EX moves, they didn't feel any reason to buff it either, despite buffing this motherfuckers. So that sort of hurts him a little bit. His normals are probably the worst one, because not having a strong stagger game as sort of a mid and anchor character, he has decent staggers, but they're nowhere near as potent as this one, even this one has better staggers. He has better staggers. His sort of, his range on his normals is not that good, and that can hurt him a little bit. Quite a lot, actually, in my opinion. But, yeah. And he also suffers from... I was going to say one more thing. Forgot what I was going to say. But he's a strong character. He has a DP. He has a light DP. He has great neutral. All that kind of shit. Gotenks. Great support value. Pretty good damage. Decent meter gain. But he falls flat because he feels like just a weaker Kid Buu. His normals have a similar problem to SSJ Vegeta's. His guard cancel when solo is absolutely garbage. They nerfed his spinny thing, so it loses to Super Dash now. His spinning top, so it loses to Super Dash now in some cases. If you Super Dash it from a certain angle, you used to just straight up beat it every single time. But yeah, that can kind of hurt him, but he's a strong character. I feel like really he's only lacking because he got nerfed by system changes. He can't fuzzy anymore. He can't, he just can't do a number of the things he used to do that were really broken. So, he's still good. He's just not Season 1 Gotenks, which was absolutely outstanding. He's good. He's good. But if you want to play a better Gotenks, you can play him. Yeah, he loses hard to double reflect, because his normals are small. Ginyu. There's a reason I have Ginyu this high. He's not that bad of a character. I don't think if he didn't... I'm going to explain this. I think the best thing about him is body change. Body change, in my opinion, is an incredibly strong mechanic, because the whole character relies on his force, and if you body change, he doesn't have the force. So therefore, you cripple the whole team by giving them half a character. That's very strong. So I think he was designed very well in that he's reliant on his force and using assist to set it up, but also there's a reason for that. And without the force, when you body swap, you basically won the game. You crippled their whole team, potentially. That's very powerful in my opinion. The only reason he is not A plus is because it's sort of a gimmick. If you don't get the body change, there's no point in running Ginyu. But he has good screen control. He has I think he's the best damage in the game. So if you get a hit with this character, you're probably either gonna 2-touch or die, right? So he has strengths. His problems, which quote unquote problems because of body change, meh frame data. He needs assist to set up all his shit. He doesn't have any real 50-50 real mix, which Raccoon Beam kind of helps with because it hides a lot of shit, makes it very hard to see. But he doesn't have real 50-50 unreactable mix, so that hurts him a little bit. But despite that saying A tier, I think he's a very good character. I think he's very scary. Beerus, his 2M sucks. We all know that. His neutral is a bit lacking, but they buffed it a little bit because the EX slam move is now full screen, and he can solo combo off it, which is, I think, very strong. His set play, especially in the corner, is very powerful. He can get 50-50s off it, and his damage is high, so he can kill you. His problem is his neutral, and I think his support. His B assist was a good buff, because it buffed his support a little bit, but I don't think it was enough. He's still not considered a good support character, and because his round start and his stuff on point is not that great either, he's considered a mid. So he's a mid that doesn't have great support, and that's what I feel hurts him. But aside from that, he's a very solid character. He has a lot of things that people want. I think really what hurts him is the fake mix with the orbs. You could super dash and you could reflect, but he's very solid. Hit does good damage. You can't reflect hit. That's very powerful. And EX stance is a very good mechanic. But there's a problem with hit in that he's assist and meter hungry to get all his best stuff. And if you can't get a knockdown, you up tech, it's very hard for him to keep pressuring you. And I don't have a lot of hit knowledge, so I can be proven wrong. But I feel like with the amount of meter he generates, especially now they nerfed that one route, how good he is on assist, how good he is on point. I feel like there's a lot of things about him, like maybe round start, which he has decent round start, right, like 5M or whatever, but his neutral can be underwhelming because if you just go in the air, like he could do the blades on you and jail into vanish, but then he also doesn't really have anything that scares you 50-50 to block after he gets in, so then you could just jump again, right? So his getting in can almost be meaningless unless he actually gets the hit on you. He has good resets and mix and shit, but he doesn't have like a 50-50. And I feel like if he had one of those, that would make him an extremely solid character. But his meter gain and reliance on meter for the EX and all that kind of shit makes him feel lacking in my opinion. But he's very solid. I think everyone in A tier, except for maybe Frieza and Piccolo, are actually solid characters. Nappa. Nappa's actually very strong, and I actually don't think there's any way to reasonably buff the character, aside from maybe a small neutral buff. Because his design is made clear. He wants to be in, right? He has bad neutral, and he relies on assist to set up his Cyberman. And his round start is not that good. But his assists, plural, are great. He does high damage with assists. He can kill you off like anything, even mid-screen. He has resets, he has mix, he has staggers. The only thing he doesn't have is neutral. So I think it's very clear what they were intending this character to be. I think he's one of the only characters in the game that's like a true mid. He's really at his peak on mid position like no other character. So yeah, I think Nappa is strong. The only reason he's A tier is because of his neutral and because of his reliance on assist. But you don't necessarily have to buff him because with when he's in, he's a fucking S tier. He gets all the shit that you want in a character. So I think despite the fact that this says A tier, sort of like Ginyu, he's actually a very scary character. Don't doubt the power of Nappa. He's a very powerful character. And we already know from sets on my channel, Touch of Meth, absolutely insane Nappa player, bodied me free. He bodies everyone free. So let that be a lesson, kids. Krillin. I think despite arguments I've had with people about how Krillin is trash, that's an ad. I think despite arguments I've had with people about how good Krillin is, I think he actually has a lot of potential to be a good character, and he has a lot of good traits about him. But I feel like for how he is and what moves they gave him, I feel like his biggest flaw is the size of his normals. And I've talked with people who think he has good staggers or whatever because of Solar Flare or something. But the fact that he loses to Reflect as hard as he does because his normals are very small really hurts him. He has good frame data, right? He has good mix. He does pretty good damage. He builds a lot of bar, and his support is good. But his neutral can be limited / underwhelming. His normals are small. The normals are small is the big one, because even though they have good frame data, he lose hard to Reflect unless you do a blatant call out, which they can normally respond to or something. And the neutral, he has some creative ways to get in. Like you can do the angled up key blast vanish. It'll trade if they 2H or whatever. And the fast beam, he has the trick to make his beam 11 frame startup, which is strong. But he could only do that 11 frame beam on the ground beam, which means you're basically just doing a slightly safer EX Lariat. And the key blasts are meh because even though he recovers quickly, there are many characters that can sort of snipe him when he does that, win key blast wars with other air key blasts, just super dash through it on guess or something, and he can't really stop them because his normals are small. He doesn't have an air DP in the air. He doesn't have anything to stop it in the air except for maybe a smart JL, which I haven't seen a lot of people do. So his biggest problems are neutral and normals, the two ends. My music playing now? Yep. Blue Vegeta. I think he's also a very strong... I'm going to say this a lot. He's a very strong character. His problems, again, normals and neutral, the two ends. And again, people will say his staggers are good, his neutral is good. But let's consider these two things. His Key Blasts lose every Key Blast war. His EX Grab can get sniped. Even though it's fast, it can get sniped. It can still lose to things. If you super dash and it doesn't come out fast enough, you will get hit for no reason. His 236S is very slow. You can punish it on reaction. Stop acting like that's a good neutral tool, because it's not. His staggers, you're staggering with Key Blast. Stop saying his staggers are good. His normals suck, right? But he has good damage. He builds a decent bit of bar. He can spend the bar because he has double super. He has a lot of mix. He's a top 5 mix-up character. And his support got buffed because he has a good C assist, a good B assist, and a decent, I'm going to say decent, I'm giving you Blue Vegeta players something, decent A assist. So he's a good character. He just suffers from the same problems as Krillin, normals and neutral. Only reason I have Krillin above him is because Krillin actually has a few good neutral tools aside from the EX Grab. I think a good way to buff him is make his Key Blasts have less recovery so he could spam them better. And give all the grabs anti-air properties so they didn't just lose to Super Dash or some random bullshit all the fucking time. But aside from that, he is a good character. I feel like if staggers were his only weakness, he'd be very powerful. Zamasu. Zamasu's neutral is so bad it made him an A-tier character, because he has really good other things. He has 50-50s with assists. He does high damage, high as fuck damage. He has good staggers. But his support is like okay. But his neutral is not good. So if they gave him a couple extra things, here's my proposition. Make his slices beat Key Blasts. Make his ground Key Blast take crouchers. Make his 236S. No, you know what? You can't change that. Make it invincible to Key Blast, whatever. And make all of his slices faster. All of them. Every single version. Every single version I want faster. He might be able to play a decent bit of neutral. But his neutral is supposed to be bad. It's supposed to be bad. It's very similar to Nappa. Only he doesn't have the resets or as good staggers and other stuff as him. He gets better mix, but that's... See, Nappa spends assists for the mix. Zamasu spends meter. I feel like assists with their recharging and meter penalty, whatever. Anyway, you could argue Zamasu's a good character. I think he really could be. I think neutral just holds him way back, but he is solid. I'm saying that again. He's a solid character. He has a lot of strengths to him. Like I said, damage, mix up, stagger. He has 50-50s, decent support. He can, as long as he has Yamcha on the team, he could use like any assist decently well, almost. So he's strong. 17. 17's only issue is not having mix off the Rekka. His Rekka is very reactable, and he doesn't really have any other mix and anything else except for like super dash plus assist. So he's very strong. He builds a lot of bar. He does a lot of damage. He has actually decent neutral. The Rekka in neutral is okay because you do it and it stops super dash, and it's okay. His neutral is okay. I'm gonna say his neutral is okay. He has good support though. His A assist is really good. Not good support, but a good A assist. I feel like if the EX Rekka could stay same side, aside from like very specific setups, if you could like hold back and it stays the same side, that would make a little bit of his mix better. Make the overhead 24 frames, or even better, make it 20. Make it unreactable. Just give him solo 50-50s. He'd be great. And just a little quality of life change that I think might make him cool is if you make it so that you can cancel out of his wall bounce using air normals, so that he just jumps back and goes all the way over here, and then they try and super dash at you, and you could just 2H it on the ground. And because he does high damage, they probably die. So he's very strong. I feel like no mix and neutral holds him back. Piccolo. This is where the list starts getting trashed, and I'm gonna explain why these two are fucking garbage. Actually, let me stop. No, not move that. I think he might be worse. These two are very close. I don't really know where to put these two. I'm going to just move him back here for now, but I'll explain that. Anyway, so Piccolo does high damage, has good staggers, good normals, but his neutral, you got to set up the orb, and then he has nothing else except for maybe like dash up I-beams or fucking some shit. Once he gets in, how is he going to mix you? The shoulder charge is slow. The fucking command grab is Jiren speed. So what else does he have? He has level 3 Oki, which is alright, whatever. And he has Hell Zone, which Hell Zone is alright on Wake Up, but it's better on Block. But he can't, listen to this. Hell Zone on Wake Up loses to Reflect. That's a 50-50 in itself of whether or not you can even get a hit. So that's a 33-33. That's not as good. To set it up on Block, you need an extremely specific assist requirement to make it so that they can't guard cancel in time, and he could punish with a 2M. And it loses to Spark anyway, so who the fuck gives a shit? And with EX buff slash nerf, EXs are half a bar. They set up 50-50s. Some characters set up 50-50s without spending meter. His is a whole bar. He's like the only character that has to spend a whole bar for that shit. So he feels pretty weak to me. You might have a different opinion, but he feels like a very weak character to me. What holds him in place right now to me is the fact that he has good support. His A and B assist are both pretty decent. His A assist is his best assist. It's a really good neutral assist, and it's good for extensions because you get 2 extensions with it. But I don't know, man. I'm not feeling Piccolo. That's why I only really play him on side teams. Frieza. Does no fucking chip damage, so his zoning means absolutely nothing. He could beat Super Dash because Explosion beats Super Dash. Disc beats Super Dash. And you could dash in using the disc. But fucking I reflect the disc, and now it's reflect RPS, and now you gotta call assist. And you gotta spend all these resources to get in and lose to reflect. And also, he has no mix. Actually, that's not true. He might have a 50-50 somewhere. But, well, you know what? Just for that. There we go. But he needs assists to get in and do stuff. His zoning is alright, but it's not threatening. If I'm winning the game and all you can do is fucking point at me and do this a whole bunch of times, there's no reason for me to super dash you. And how is Frieza getting in? I can jump over the discs, right? I can jump the discs. I can reflect the discs. I could see him coming like an online player trying to 2M and raw level 3 him, and he can do fucking nothing. So, I don't think he's that good, because he can't get in, and he needs assists to get in, so that wastes some assists. Like some of these other characters, you have EX Lariat to get in, and they got in without... Here's the distinction. They got in without the assist. In Frieza's case, he needed the assist to just get in, period. That's an important distinction to make. He does high damage on hit. He has sauce. He has mix sometimes, but his staggers are like not scary at all. There's no reason to guard cancel Frieza. I'm not scared of Frieza. His best strength is just the fact that Golden Frieza is fucking retarded, but even then, are you running Frieza on Anchor with that garbage ass set of assists he has, except for maybe his C assist that has like no block stun? Basically, he just has a couple of issues. I don't really think he's that powerful of a character. So sorry to any Frieza players who think I'm wrong about like everything I've ever said, but I don't think he's that strong of a character. It's like, for reference, just watch Nokami's video. And you might think I'm fucking stealing opinions or something, but he makes a lot of good points. Jiren. Jiren is in a very strange spot because he could have been a good character. However, he has literally no mix. There is literally no way for this character to open you up except for maybe a bad reaction on a Dragon Rush Online. This character can't open you up except for neutral hits. Which his whole deal is supposed to be, I get a hit and I do a lot of damage. But I'm not doing a lot of damage when all my hits come from a fucking vanish and I do like 21%. That's fucking trash. I'm sorry. And there's really good Jiren players. Access did work. Fucking Coach Steve did work. But fucking this character sucks. His support, here's the good things. His support is good. He does high damage when he actually gets a good hit, which is never. He has good stagger game. He has the counter. But holy fucking shit, if he just had mix, he would be a good character. He just doesn't have mix. SSJ Goku is an unfortunate case because he could have been an absolutely great character, but he also has no mix, and aside from that, his neutral is worse, and I think he also might have worse damage, potentially, maybe. And SSJ Goku has no reversal aside from level 3. Jiren at least has the counter, so that holds him back. He's a great character, but losing spark loops, losing staggers, I mean, he got shafted. No way around it. Goku Black, I only have put here over Tien because of support value. I think the beam assist holds him slightly higher. He gets 50-50s, but you need a lot of meter to convert off of, to set them up in a lot of really specific circumstances. His block strings, he has good staggers, but his block strings are not that good. There's no reason to like fear Goku Black on block or mash him or anything, because he can't really mix you up on block. He has plus frames with the fucking Ki Blast, but it's a fucking Ki Blast, dude. It's like, at least Beerus's has the property where you can't immediately super dash it, and he could do it on a true block string. This motherfucker has to do a big ass, and it whiffs, and you have to wait for it to come hit them. So that plus frame means nothing. I could literally jump out of that. It means nothing. His neutral, I think the only reason I have him over Tien is better neutral and better support value, but other than that, he's just not a good character. I'm sorry. He doesn't do anything that any other character can't do better, which is starting to become a trend down here, but we'll get to this trash tier in a minute. Tien has potential. Tien has a lot of potential as a character. I think his staggers are pretty good. I think he has good normals, and that's a good trait about him, but his neutral is absolute hot dog shit. Self-damage hurts him. His assists are not good enough to hold him in an anchor position where he really wants to be this season because of Limit Break, because of Spark giving him mix on anchor aside from just the EX grab, from the TODs you could get with him, all that kind of shit. But I feel like if TN, here's what I feel, man. Double supers were really his thing, because if he could still double super and really get the best damage in the game on your team, you're worth running this bad character. I think he could have been designed very well if he was designed as a bad character, but if you put this bad character on your team, you could literally kill people off everything. There was no need to two-touch with this character back when double supers were a thing. So here's how I would buff TN. Very simply. His 2M has too little range. That shit sucks. Just straight up. I'm sorry. His 2M sucks. His 5M is pretty good though. But his Ki Blast I think should have less recovery, because even though he's supposed to have bad neutral, it shouldn't be that bad. His dive kicks should be a little bit faster. That would improve some combo stuff, I think, and also make it more of a mix-up without spark. I think the self-damage should be... I think he should still have self-damage, but he should have more self-damage, but it should all be blue life. I think that would make more sense, because if he's supposed to stay on Anchor, it would make sense that he's supposed to regenerate it. I think a good buff to TN actually would be buffing his assists, because there's really no reason to have his assists as meh as they are. If his A assist had 29 blocks on like a DP and his B assist had 50, there would be no reason to run his C assist, therefore his assist would be much better, in my opinion, because they're already pretty decent, but I think that block stun value really holds them back. If they had really, really good block stun, they would be pretty decent assists. Especially A. A with 29 block stun would be fucking godlike, because you get super dash plus assist, whole bunch of other shit. That'd be good for him. And I think also his double super level 2 should do more damage. Just straight up. Make it do more damage. Make it do... Because right now I think it does too little for what TN damage is supposed to be. Make that double super do more damage. And I think even though he would still be like an A tier character, those changes would make him just that little bit more viable, but also the same design. I like keeping... I don't want to make characters top tier. I want to make them well designed, but also playable. He feels just slightly unplayable to me. Just slightly. And I might put him over Black just because of the solo mix and all that kind of other good stuff he could potentially have going for him. Goku Black, you gotta... First, you give him back a 2M. You give him a 50-50 grab. You gotta have your projectile invincibility on your slicer back, and you gotta have better 50-50s. You gotta have like less recovery on the... You gotta have like faster startup on the teleporter or some shit, because right now there's no reason to play Goku Black. Also, his assists kind of suck except for the beam. I might just do a buff and nerf on characters for another video, but yeah, I wanted this to be shorter than it is. It's like an hour long. Holy shit. Now we're on trash tier. These three are probably going to be easy to explain. 16. Bad frame data. Does not gain fucking any meter anymore. He can't happy birthday because of J2H not giving him a knockdown. He can't get a knockdown without spending a full bar solo. Unless you cut your combo short like people have showed me. Dude, you can get a solo knockdown with 16. Just end your rejump and do 35% off of 5M. Like, I'm gonna fucking do that. That shit's trash. I'm sorry. His neutral is alright. He has a good strength going for him in the way that he has the solo command grab 50-50. That's very powerful. But I think what hurt him a lot is the meter gain nerf and the J2H nerf. If he had both of those things as well as his A assist back, I think he would actually be a very strong character. And his frame data could use a little bit of a buff too. But other than that, he could actually be very powerful. I just feel like the meter gain nerf and all those other little problems he has make him just unplayable. I'm sorry. Gogeta, horrible frame data. His mix is most of the time reactable, even his 50-50s. His assists are not warranted running him, period, on an assist roll. His round star is not worth running him point. Right? He has no mix anyway. He's just not a good character. And doesn't help that they gave him, like, B assist is a fucking garbage assist. and scaling kind of fucks up his combos. I feel like what would buff this character is literally just give him good frame data, speed up his 2L a little bit, and there was one other change. There's one other change. We gotta buff his assist somehow. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but he needs an assist buff. If he had good assists and good frame data, he'd probably be a decent character. Videl, biggest issue. She has a lot of potential. She has a lot of potential to be a great character, but I feel like her biggest issue is the fact that she doesn't have a reflect. That's huge, because if a person does a Ki Blast into a Vanish, you can't reflect them away. That dodge is incredibly hurtful to how many times she loses neutral. Her neutral is already not, godlike to begin with. So the fact that they can just Ki Blast and Vanish every time and consistently get in because you can't dodge them away and you can't reflect them away and you can't counter super and you can't DP it because it's technically a true block string. That hurts her a lot. She has counter super on Wake Up, but I don't think it supplements her reflect pushing people away. And I think the dodge was originally intended because you're supposed to be an in-your-face character, but it would not be hard to give her a reflect and a command dodge input that's like maybe 2-2S or something. So I think the best way to buff this character is first, give her a reflect and make dodge a command input, and 2, buff her stagger game. Because her 4M is actually bad, but it could be good. Because imagine if she had like a cell 5M, -5, and had a lot of pushback and it frame trapped. That would be really good for her whole I want to stay in your face game plan. Her solo pressure is sort of like RPS right now, and her frame data is meh. So if you gave her maybe -8 5M, and if you do 4MM, the other one is actually, you know what? Keep the frame data. Just make it frame trap. Make it potentially frame trap if you delay enough. I think if it frame trapped and had more pushback, that would be a very strong stagger tool. Potential frame trap. I don't mean like Cell where it always frame traps. I mean you can do a true block sting or you can frame trap, and it has more pushback than it normally does right now. So if you had those things, I feel like she could actually be a good character. She might even be A+ tier. So that was a bit long-winded, but thanks for watching. This is a whole hour long. Jesus Christ. I'm tired. I was supposed to be sleeping like an hour ago. Not even like I want to sleep earlier. I've been going to bed at like fucking 3-4 in the morning, and I'd want to wake up earlier because waking up late feels like shit. So I'm going to record one more thing and go the fuck to sleep. Thanks for watching this. I'm going to upload this tomorrow. Peace.